So, Roger, today the film that we've chosen, you and I, is Wonder Woman 84.
Right.
Scheduled to
Definitely.
be released many times, but Warner Brothers, we've been be kept hanging. Let me remind you, Roger, the journey of Wonder Woman 84.
Okay.
First release date, December 2019. Then this was changed because of the Star Wars release that was clashing. It was then say, oh, actually, what we'll do, we'll bring it forward for you lovely fans to November 2019. Then they said, actually, now we've got a few things to sort out, so we'll release it in June 2020. But actually, uh, now we're going to do is push it till August because of the pandemic. Actually, do you know what? It'll be October 2020. So, according to the latest news, the world premiere, which will be across, is as far as we know now, October 2020.
Oh,
For a project of any kind, whether it's marketing, film, or whatever, this is not great, is it?
no, no, no. I mean, will it ever get released?
Well, the problem that you have, Roger, is that now you've got so many movies all piling up near the end of the year. I mean, I did a bit of a recce, but you've got so many movies now. You've got Mulan, you've got Dune, you've got Bond 25, you've got Bill and Ted Face the Music, you've got Black Widow, you've got Kong and Godzilla, you've got West Side Story, the remake by Steven Spielberg, which is really anticipated.
And Tenet as well. Or
Yeah, you're right,
yeah,
and a few others out there. It's going to get a bit crowded, and I hope it does. I'm a fan. Are you?
yeah, definitely. I want to see it. I want to see it. Do you know? I mean, I can remember the TV series of Wonder Woman from back in the late 70s, early 80s. Can't even remember what the actress was called that played Wonder Woman, but Linda Carter, that was it. That was it. Yes, I'm giving myself a slap for forgetting that. But it was always that sort of she'd have a look round and she'd do the little twirl and the big bang and the explosion, a really cheesy special effect. And of course, she changed into Wonder Woman. It's funny because I knew we were going to talk about Wonder Woman this week. I actually went to see if I could find any old episodes on YouTube, and I came across, it was an episode from the third series, which was actually broadcast in 1979, believe it or not, and it was called The Phantom of the Roller Coaster. And I actually remember watching that as a child vividly, because obviously it takes place in a theme park. But now I'm a geek, of course. What I hadn't realised is that the majority of the theme park footage that was included within that episode was actually lifted from a different feature film, which was called Roller Coaster, which starred George Segal, who was one of my favourite character actors from that time. And as a result of that, my wife and I searched out for Roller Coaster, the film, and watched that the other night. And it was great to see it. And of course, all of that footage that ended up in Wonder Woman was originally in that film. And that Roller Coaster film was filmed in Sensurround. And if you ever went to the cinema, they had a tiny little vibrating microphone in each seat, just to make you feel as if you were actually on the roller coaster. So that was a little bit of a tangent, but bring it back to Wonder Woman now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, through again, we watched the series in France. I would say the early 80s, mid
Yeah.
80s. I mean, albeit they were filmed, from the mid 70s to the late 70s. I think the popularity of the TV series carried on for well into the 80s. And I
Yeah.
wonder whether, because I don't know about you, I wonder why they chose 84 for Wonder Woman. So, as a reminder, the original character, I think, in and around the Second World War,
Yeah.
for a reason which I think was around not clashing with the Marvel universe.
Mm-hmm.
The Wonder Woman of 2017 was in the First World War. And then we
Yeah.
go straight into 84. And I always kind of wondered why 84? Do you have any views or insight into that?
I can the only reason I can think is there seems to be a little bit of nostalgia for the 80s at the moment, doesn't there? I don't know whether it's a 30 years in the future thing. It's a bit like we were talking about Back to the Future last week, and Back to the Future 2 came out, and then 30 years later was 2015. There seems to be that 30-year thing, doesn't there? So 30 years ago, ish, 1984, 1985, bit more than 30 years, but it's around there. There's that nostalgia for shoulder pads, permed hairstyles, vivid colours, and it just feels very Wonder Woman-y to me.
I think also from a film design, but also marketing design point of view, that gave them so much to choose. I mean, I have to tell you, I really, really connected with the artwork of the posters, teaser content.
Yeah.
So as a reminder, Roger, the trailer actually was released early December 2019.
Yeah.
That, almighty music. Remind me again, because I know you're a big fan. What was the music they used for the trailer?
Blue Monday.
That's right, by New Order. I mean,
can I just stop you there?
Please,
I've got a surprise for you, Pascal. Yeah, I'm just going to reach down here. This. Can you see this?
Yeah, that means the LP, is it?
Yeah. Now I'll tell you what, because some of you will be watching this, so you can see. Some of you will be listening to this. This is the original pressing from 1984. The original pressing of Blue Monday. And it was only ever released as a single, but it was only ever released as a 12-inch single, and it's got this very, very iconic design. It was almost like a floppy disk. Can you see yeah? So you take it out inside, and there you have it. I dug this out specially this morning. Blue Monday, the original pressing.
Well, if anyone of you are listening audio only, you may want to just, fast forward to this bit to see, the LP or the 12-inch. Of course, if you're under the age of 30, you have no clue what Roger's talking about.
And of course, I did think we should play the music on the podcast, but then we'll get a copyright strike, so we can't do that.
Even if we try and claim the fair use angle. But I remember when the trailer was released. So, Roger, every Saturday morning, I have a routine where I go on YouTube, and there is a channel called Kino Check.
Yeah.
They do essentially a compendium of the trailers of the week or whatever. And I watch that. It's my way. Sadly, I don't buy magazines anymore. Maybe I should go back to those. Back in the days, I used to buy Total Film and Premiere and all that kind of things. So when the Wonder Woman kind of landed, I watched it, and I put the sound so loud because that track, just made it. So I think there was a wonderful design. So the reason I'm saying this, Roger, is I feel for the marketing team.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do you have to keep cancelling and whatever, and I know that when it comes to the fans of both DC and Marvel Universe, there's a mountain of goodwill and so on, but you've got to be careful. So to give you an idea, they've been promoting and talking about Wonder Woman 84 since 2018.
Yeah.
Every year at the San Diego Comic-Con, it's almost like the ritual, for all the big kind of geek style movies. They talk about it. Then there's all the press. You can imagine that, year after year, it's coming. And then, of course, apart from the trailer, we've had nothing. Even though at early March, there was already the start of the pandemic, the Warner Brothers studios still went ahead with the campaign. Now, I didn't see the campaign. I just obviously researched it. But in the US, they had the hashtag 84 to WW84. So they did the 84-day countdown to the release of Wonder Woman back at the original date of, would have been June, I would suspect, from March till 84 days later. So that Twitter campaign obviously still went ahead and led to nothing. There's just, something off. Now, the reason why I have some faith about October 2020, to take your point earlier, is that every year, October is, on the 21st of October, is Wonder Woman Day, which I know you'd partake with your very special outfit. Now, as you know, why 21st? Because legend would suggest that this is when the character was first released in the comic book format. So I'd like to think that to give the marketing team something, a hook, I think they need to go for that 21st of October if they can at all.
I hope so, and I agree with you. There are too many films getting postponed now, and we're building up to, is it better to launch a film, I don't know, direct to video or direct to streaming, and find some way of making it more profitable? Charge people 30 quid to watch it like you would if it was a family going to the cinema. Because surely it can't be good for the studios to all of a sudden be launching 7 or 8 blockbusters over the course of a few days, because that will eat into their revenues anyway. So,
Yeah, it would, because I mean,
I don't know what the solution is.
I don't know, because I mean, of all the movies I've listed earlier, I'd love to see all of them, but I'm not going to go to the movies 10 times in the space
No.
of 2-3 months the rest of the year. So I'm going to have to make decisions. But you're right. Maybe they could do a bit like of the Star Wars, when it was released in the 70s. If you buy the family tickets, you get the streaming, you get a copy of the Blu-ray. Now, there could be a pack, a family pack, where they could really make it a sense of, again, a sense of event. But it is a concern about, these delays and what it means to the willingness for the audience to go. And because the danger, Roger, as you're pointing out, is this, which is, I'll tell you what, then I know it's other movies, but I'll still wait for it to be streamed. So in fact, they've gained nothing.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Now, I'm like you. I think I would be prepared to pay, cinema prices to watch Bond 25 at home, as opposed to having to wait another year. I don't want to wait another year for Bond 25. I want to see it. So I'll happily pay the going rate. So, studios, come on. Let's get it out there, please.
And just out of interest, you would pay to own the copy, the digital copy on Netflix or on Amazon Prime, whatever.
Yeah, but at the moment, you can rent a video on iTunes or something like that for $9.99. Now that's fine. I could invite 50 of my friends round and we could watch it for $9.99. They need to come up with some way of replicating the revenue that they would get from a cinema where 50 people would pay $9.99. But I'd be happy with that. I'd be absolutely happy with that, as long as I got to see the film this year.
Absolutely. So with regard to this segment, film marketing and Wonder Woman 84, I really, really like the campaign that they've put in place. It's just heartbreaking for them and for the fans that it's not pulled through. But you can't fault, the presence at events such as Comic-Con and so on. So really engagement with the audience, their social media campaigns with their hashtag 84 to WW84, styling, and the crafting of the imagery and the trailer and the music and so on. There was just some good work there, because on balance, is it fair to say that the DC universe is not as popular, or forgive me, not as successful as the Marvel universe in general?
I don't know, Pascal. I don't know. Personally, I feel that the Marvel universe to me has become a bit overbearing. My wife and I did watch Aquaman not so long ago, and we realised in the first 20 minutes we hadn't a clue what was going on. We thought we were coming to this film completely fresh. But of course you had to have watched, and we'd missed a couple of the films that led up to it. So we felt that impinged upon our enjoyment. So possibly DC's got a bit of an advantage because they're earlier in their life cycle, and people maybe find it a bit more accessible. Whereas if you want to watch the latest Marvel film and you haven't watched the previous, goodness knows how many there are now, you literally have to go back, like you would go back to the first episode of Game of Thrones. You have to go back to the original and work your way back to date.
I think that's a very, very fair comment. I always felt as well that DC tended to be more kind of adult and listen to me. I'm talking about superheroes and people flying around in capes and so on. But I think the manner with the storylines and what they explore was always a little more darker.
Yes.
As opposed to Marvel, which is, this is the family outing, Marvel's family outing. I mean, if you think about it, one of the surprise success, I wasn't surprised, but the critics were surprised by the success of Joker, which is obviously part of the DC universe. And they were even tempted to go for a sub-brand, DC Dark, to be able to do things like Joker. And so I think, the Wonder Woman has its audience. It has an audience, I think, which is back to people used to watch in the 70s or grew with it. I think there's some great message, always will be, but some great messages through this character. But yeah, I'm sure that whilst you and I are kind of discussing it from the comfort of our homes, there must be some tough meetings at Warner Brothers HQ. I'd love to visit one day. And, well, we wish them good luck. And we just hope that October is it and there's no more delays and pushbacks.
I'm with you on that, Pascal.
And thank you so much for listening and watching Two Geeks and a Marketing Podcast. Please subscribe and leave your comments in the usual places. He was Roger Edwards. I was Pascal Fintoni. Until next time, go out there, make sure your marketing is done right.